Hello, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today we are going to sip a little bit of tea. Cheers. We're gonna clear the air about some things in the plant community that I am personally not a fan of, to put really lightly. I think everyone can agree that the houseplant community is a really wonderful, generally accepting place. We have people of all walks of life here, and people are really nice and giving. You probably met someone before who just wants to give you some of their plants for free, or maybe you're in a plant shop and someone walks up to you and just starts making small talk about plants, or maybe you're like me and you've met most of your current closest friends online talking about plants. There's a lot of amazing things about the plant community. When you put a lot of people together, sometimes not everything is amazing. And that's what today's video is going to be about, is the things that personally peeve me about the plant community, and probably every community, honestly. I can't decide if I want it here or here. Also, how freaking I'm not over it. Wow. I decided to put her here because I thought that she would look really pretty right there, but I also feel like we just don't have the best light right now, but that's fine. Okay, so I'm just gonna start right off the bat. Number one, people who actually think it's okay to steal plants. There are a lot of people, believe it or not, in the community that think it's dope to steal plants. I have a bunch of different excuses for it, and I'm not gonna get into any of those. My issue is if you're stealing from a local nursery. I'm not gonna get into big box stores or screw capitalism stuff, but if you're stealing from a local nursery or a botanic conservatory, sorry, I have a huge problem with that. Not only are you hurting a local business and directly affecting someone's small local business and family income, but also if you're stealing from a conservatory, literally most conservatories literally just exist to protect endangered species, and if you're harming endangered species, I don't think that's very kosher. Yeah, but there are people who will make content about stealing plants. There was this one TikTok, it got taken down, but it was made by a pretty popular TikToker, where he literally was walking around with his partner with gardening shears and cutting down neighbors' plants and stealing directly from people's gardens. Because hey, that's relatable, right? That's relatable content. There's a huge theft culture within the plant community, and because it's oh, it's just plants. If someone came into my house or my garden and took cuttings and they were like, why are you mad? It's just plants. I'd be like, dude, I spent my hard-earned money on that, and I am by no means any kind of wealthy person who can just replace that stuff. I don't know, unless you're okay with someone just walking into your own home or your own garden at any time and just taking whatever they want, I don't think that that's cool. And I have friends who have been personally affected by people stealing from their shops, so maybe I'm biased, but I can't tell you guys what to do with big corporate companies. I don't care about them. And I'm not saying go do it, but I really just want to advocate here for the small businesses, people's private property, and these conservatories that are protecting these endangered species. Next on my list is people guessing on plant advice, guessing on plant IDs, and telling people that they know what they're talking about when they literally have zero idea. This happens on Facebook so much. There is so much plant misinformation on Facebook. It blows my mind how any of us really know anything. I see people misidentify plants all the time as fact. I've seen companies misidentify plants as fact and send out a completely wrong ID in their newsletter, which literally just happened to me with one of the country's biggest plant companies. It doesn't make sense how people just are oh yes, this. It's usually Trademarking or Monstera. People are calling Monstera siltipiconda a syndapsis lately. There's this one memory specifically I have of Facebook, and there was this girl tell someone that her Thai constellation was actually just a golden pothos. And this person was like, no, that's a golden pothos. I got one for $5. And they weren't trolling, dude. So I don't know. And this is something that even I struggled with. I think people feel like they need to constantly validate their plant knowledge. And back when I first started out, I'm sure I've misidentified something before. I would guess on some care information back in the day, or because I felt pressured because people would ask me like, how do I take care of this? How do I take care of this? And so instead of giving more like specific personalized advice, I would give kind of generic advice. A couple months ago, I started just telling people I don't know. If you ask me for advice on Instagram, 10 out of 10, I'll probably tell you I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what's wrong with your plant. I don't know why it's getting those spots. I don't know if it's rust or if it's bacteria. I can't see your plant in person. I can't touch it. I can't feel it. I can't look at it. I can't unpot it. And I feel like as gardeners, we try to help other people with their issues when really what we should be thinking is like, is me giving this person my best guess at advice actually going to help them if I actually can't see what's causing the issue? It's one thing if someone zooms in on their plant and you can see that it has thrips or mealies or something, but it's another thing to just see a random mark on a spot and be like, that's rust. We don't know. My next thing is when people dead cut plants, which is like you literally cut it without rooting it at all, and then you don't root it and you just ship it off to someone and it dies in the mail. It happens like almost every single time. I have a friend who bought a very high profile plant and it literally came to her, like, I mean, this is a multi-$1,000 plant, not tens of thousands, but, well, actually, yeah, it's like a multi-$1,000 plant. And it came to her not air layered, not rooted or anything, and the thing's dead now. So, I don't know, my first experience of this was when I dead cut my Monstera and just sent it off to someone. The leaf died and I was like, oh, that's weird, I shouldn't have done that. And then I did it again on accident because I had like one top cutting that wouldn't root and I just sent it off and it died again. And so then I was like, oh. And then I see this happen to people all the time. They're like, Ashley, I bought this off of Etsy. It was such a good deal, but now it's dead. And it's like, yeah, because you're buying something that has no roots. And I talk about this all the time, like, do not buy something that doesn't have roots. Point blank period, unless you're picking it up in person. If you could go down the street or drive across town, pick up a plant, put it in water in your own house, then you're clear, dude. But if it has to be shipped to you and it's gonna take more than a couple hours to get to you, even if it's in a wet medium, if it's a larger plant, like I'm not really talking about small plants, Hoya can literally be sent 3-day shipping after being dead cut with no medium and they'll be fine. I'm really talking about philodendrons, monsteras, especially syndapsis. They're so fragile. Small, frail cuttings like a cebu or pothos, and you're just like sending it. There's a really high likelihood that it's not gonna make it. Please stop dead cutting plants. And yeah, that's a term I just made up just now. Because you cut it and then it's dead. Oh my god, this one gets me so much. When sellers make up a brand new name for a plant and pretend like they're the first person to find it, when that plant has literally existed on this world for probably like hundreds or thousands of years. Something that rubbed me wrong the other day was there was a very large, one of the largest growers in the country posted on their website saying, back when I discovered this plant in Indonesia, it didn't have a name. And it's like, yes, it did. It did have a name, actually. And what you're calling it is a brand new name that you made up and now trademark, and now you're saying that you own all sales of this plant, which this like leads me into another thing, which is when people trademark plants, it's like, I don't know, to me that's like really bad faith. That's really bad faith towards the community, because at that point now you're saying that you own all sales of this plant, as if you are so, I'm getting so heated, but like as if you are so high and mighty that you developed this cultivar personally. What you did is import a ton of this plant, grow it and grow it and grow it, give it a name, legally trademark it, and now you're saying that you own this plant that has existed here on this planet forever. I'm not gonna get into politics, but that sounds kind of familiar. I don't know, people saying that they own things when they've been here forever or existed forever is something that I am just not cool with, unless you created, if you created something. If it's a new cultivar like a begonia or something, even then, I don't think trademarking something is cool, or whatever it's called when you make it so that sales of this thing are not allowed. Cool, give it a name. Like, there are new begonia hybrids coming out like every single day, bro. And I actually have one right now that I'm working on. Once it comes out, if the seeds are viable, I will get to name it, but I sure as heck am not going to prevent other people from buying and selling this plant. I'm not in the plant community to only make money off the plant community and exploit the community. I'm in the community to create new plants, hopefully maybe with some hybrids, or enrich the community further and be an active part of the community. I'm not some business guy in a suit looking to just exploit. I'm just not down for plants that already exist, people coming in and saying that they created it or they owned it when they didn't. It's not your property. It's Mother Earth's property, dude. This one isn't as high up on my list. Like, honestly, if I were to rank things. People who judge you for what you put your plants in. Put a lot of my plants in these really cute little pots. No one has a problem when I put my plants in these cute little pots. I might get a comment or two and they're like, hey, ceramic isn't the best material for roots because of whatever reason that they have, right? And that's totally fine. Thank you for your opinion and advice. Maybe I didn't know that before, but now I do, right? By the way, this one has 3 peduncles in bloom. You have people who put their plants in plastic pots. And then you got people like me who take recycled water bottles and cut them open and put my plants in them. And I get a lot of hate for that, I'm not gonna lie. People really think it doesn't look nice. You can't put your plants in a clear pot because sunlight is bad for the roots. In my experience, putting plants in clear pots has only made my plants grow faster. And there's just so many like old myths in this community. Like I said, there's not a whole lot of information known about a lot of things in the plant community. But that just doesn't make sense to me. Growers grow most of the time in clear pots. I get plants in clear pots mailed to me all the time. I grow half of my collection now in clear water bottle pots. All I'm saying is if you hear something in the community, if someone tells you something, that does not mean it's true. We should start thinking twice before we repeat information like that, because how does that make sense? They are gonna be fine. And that kind of leads me into my next one, which is people who tell you that your plant will die if you don't do X, Y, or Z, or if you don't put your plant in X, Y, or Z, or if you don't use X, Y, or Z fertilizer, or they act like you're a criminal for not doing what they're telling you to do. And what I found is that's just people who really need super validation in their own knowledge of plants, that they almost force other people around them to do the same thing as them. And I don't know where that comes from, but I've experienced it a lot. It's not super cute, and I don't really hang out with people that are like that. I'm like, dude, grow your plants in whatever. I got some of my plants in mugs, and I know you guys do too. Some mugs are just cute and they deserve to have plants in them. This next one makes me so mad, and that's north-facing window shavers. So people are like, if you have north-facing windows, you cannot grow plants. It will not happen. It will not work. When my plants were more successful than they've ever been in my whole life, literally, I'm not even kidding, more successful than they are now, I had north-facing windows. It was when I had north-facing windows and I lived in a dorm. My north-facing window opened up in between just a wall of bricks. A wall of walls, basically. There's a lot of things you can do if you have north-facing windows to increase your light. What I found is that if you have lower light conditions, by increasing the amount of humidity you have, that will kind of even it out. Your plants might grow a little more atoliated, and when I did have a north window, I could not care for cactus or succulents because they would just die. But for my philodendron, my monstera, my alocasia, I had 83% or higher humidity, and I kept my room at about 78 degrees. So by increasing humidity and temperature, I was able to counteract the effects of that. And I grew big plants like this. This was Fred, my Frydek. He's the largest alocasia Frydek I've ever seen in person. He unfortunately passed away due to falling. It's actually a really big tragedy. Don't shame people with north-facing windows. At a garden center once tell me that I could not take care of philodendron or Hoya if I had a north-facing window. And my philodendron and Hoya did better in that room than they do right now. This next one bothers me so much, oh my gosh. People who reply sold to a listing and then they either dirty delete, which dirty deleting doesn't bother me as much. If you literally hit sold and then you just delete it right away, maybe because you either hit the wrong comment, like at the end of the day, I can't force you to spend your money if you buy a plant, but this is a wide problem. This is not just a me problem. If you're active on the Facebook sellers community, you will know this is a huge problem. When someone hits sold on a plant, people kind of move on past it and don't think about it. And then it becomes really hard to sell that plant again because the plant has now been seen as undesirable because someone either passed or dirty deleted on it. And unless you're a really big seller who has tons of people lined up next to buy it, it can become quite a problem. But let's say let's take this a step further. This is my biggest issue. You say sold, we connect, we're now talking, maybe you even pay me, and then you back out at the last second. It's like, well, now I've wasted all this time and I have to refund you, which costs a fee. And then there's some people, you guys, who literally will buy plants and then they'll never pick them up. And it's like, why are you paying for this thing if you're never going to connect with me and pick it up? I understand life being busy, and I'm not talking about oh, I had to put it off for a week or 2 weeks, right? Because something came up in your life. I don't care. I will hold things. I have had people buy plants from me, pay me, and then literally never come pick them up. And then what I have to do is refund you, and now it's weird because it's been 3 weeks. Do you want this plant? You've paid me. I've asked you when you want to set up pickup multiple times and you just like don't exist. This one might be a little bit more of a personal issue, but it's when people like insult your plants. I don't know if this has happened to you guys, but people be like, your plant looks ugly. And I delete these comments. They go away forever, and then I block people who leave them, because it's like, I get it if you don't like me or if you don't like my clothes or whatever, but bro, it's a plant. You're gonna come out here and tell me that my plant looks messy or crispy, or I'm clearly bad at taking care of my plant because of how my plant looks. Like, I like it when my plants look like the way that they do. I am a jungle person. I don't like to snip my plants so that they grow in this specific custom way that I like. I like it when my plants just go bleh. So why are you coming here to tell me that I have ugly plants? And then the last thing I want to talk about is kind of more of a bigger thing, and it's rare plant elitism. There's a lot of people in the community who don't love our common babies, and I don't understand that. There are people out there who will literally be like, I only collect rare plants. Sure, you might just gravitate towards plants that are a little bit more expensive. The first plant I ever found on Facebook that I liked was an Ilsmanii. I saw a photo of it and I found a photo of an Ilsmanii. Turns out that's like one of the most expensive plants that exist, and it took me 2 years to get a hold of one, which I can't even believe it only took me 2 years. So there certainly are times when you do gravitate, but then there are people who just won't collect certain plants because they are under a certain budget. If it's under $50, I don't want it. If it's under blah, 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 I don't want it. If I can find it in my grocery store, I don't want it. Never understand that, because part of the beauty of plants is that you can walk into your Lowe's and find one of these, or one of these, or this. This is one of the most common Hoya that there is. This is a Hoya lacunosa. There's just so many amazing plants out there, and the fact that they're so widely accessible to bring greenery and happiness into your home, for people to just turn up their nose, or sellers to turn their nose at selling common plants. And the whole rare and common thing is a whole different topic. For me, I have to use rare plants. It's a search engine optimization tool. And that's how I can tell people in 4 short letters very easily what the general content of something is going to be. There's a lot of plants people call rare that are absolutely not rare in the slightest. I'll actually like link something about this. One of my friends on Instagram, @bushylady, is amazing when it comes to this stuff. I don't know, I'm a fan of plants that are easily accessible, common, cheap. I love it. Love it so much. I wish every plant was cheap, to be honest. Anyways, those are some of my peeves with the plant parent community. Let me know if you agree or if there's anything else that maybe I missed. Like I said, the plant community is my home. It's where I have been for 2 years and plan to be for the rest of my life. Just because a community seems to be on the outside really nice, sometimes it's not actually that nice underneath the surface. Like, there's a lot of drama that happens in the plant community, and a lot of scammers, and a lot of bad things that happen here too. A lot of people who want to take advantage of you, and a lot of people who literally outright are just trying to steal your money. So it's good to be aware of those things, and it's good to be conscious of a couple, I think, of the things on this list. I know I've guessed at giving advice before, or gotten an ID wrong. When I was new to the community, I saw all these rare and shiny plants. People would call them rare, and so I would call them rare. And then I would spend so much money on them, and then I'd find them literally at the next store that I went to. And I was like, wait, I thought that this was rare. So I don't know, there's just a whole lot of confusion, and let's have a discussion in the comments about it. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. But thank you so much for watching this video. Please make sure you leave a like, subscribe, and tweet me at PlantMeAshley. Follow me on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter at PlantMeAshley as well. And don't forget to join the memberships. They're only $5 a month for the base fee to join YouTube memberships. It's so fun. Come hang out with us. And yeah, we'll do the end of the video fun stuff here in a second, but thank you guys so much for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next houseplant section. Goodbye. Hey guys, welcome to the end of the video fun stuff. I want to thank Asia Salazar and Journey Tyson for joining and upgrading at Real Ones 2.0, and Brooke Camerata for joining at Real Ones 2.0, and welcome Alexa Greer and Megan Sharp to the membership community. And thank you so much Kim Klanowski, Liliana Ramos, Houseplant Heather, Carissa Lawrence, All the Green Places, and Botanicas for the extra channel support. Today's comment shout out goes to Sarah Wheaton. OMG, those plants are such a steal. I'm so happy for you, and great find with the Hoya carnosa compacta. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next houseplant section.